Today marks another year that an Evansville family is missing one of their own and searching for answers. This is the third anniversary of the disappearance of Dawnita Wilkerson.
On a warm Father's Day evening in 2020, as families across America were winding down from celebrations, Dawnita Wilkerson, 44, was last seen by her family as she walked out of her brother's house in Evansville, Indiana on Sunday, June 21st. She told her family she would be right back. She never returned. Welcome back to Dark Patterns Crime Stories. I'm your host, and today we're diving into a case that has haunted the city of Evansville for over 4 years now. This is the story of a devoted mother who vanished without a trace, leaving behind 6 children, a loving family, and more questions than answers. Dawnita Wilkerson was an African-American woman born on March 14, 1976. She had black hair, brown eyes, stood 5 feet 3 inches tall and weighed 145 pounds. But these physical descriptors barely scratched the surface of who Dawnita really was. Dawnita was a mother of 6 children, ages 15 to 22, her 2 youngest being 15-year-old twin girls. To understand the gravity of her disappearance, you need to understand the kind of mother she was. Dawnita was the type of person who called her children regularly, who checked in with her family members daily, and who never, ever left her kids wondering where she was. This wasn't just any missing person case. This was a woman whose entire life revolved around her family, particularly her children. The fact that she would tell her family, "I'll be right back," and then vanish becomes even more chilling when you realize that Dawnita's word was her bond. She didn't make promises she couldn't keep, especially not to her kids. Living in Evansville, Indiana, Dawnita was part of a tight-knit community and had strong family ties. Her brother's house, where she was last seen, wasn't just a random location. It was family, it was safe, it was home. The fact that she left from such a secure environment only adds to the mystery of what happened next. Father's Day 2020 was different from most. The world was still reeling from the COVID-19 pandemic, families were adjusting to new normals, and social gatherings looked different than they had in years past. But for the Wilkerson family, this Father's Day would become a date forever etched in their memory for all the wrong reasons. On Sunday, June 21st, Dawnita was at her brother's house in Evansville. According to her family, she walked out of the house and told them she would be right back. These were the last words her family would ever hear from her. Think about that for a moment. "I'll be right back." 4 simple words that millions of us say every day without a second thought. But for Dawnita's family, these words would become a haunting echo of the last normal moment they shared together. What makes this even more disturbing is the timeline that followed. Her phone was shut off by the next morning, and when she didn't call her mother or her twins as she usually did, her family became worried and reported her missing. This detail is crucial to understanding why this case is so troubling. Dawnita had a routine. She was a creature of habit when it came to her family, especially her children. The fact that she didn't call her twins, who, remember, they were only 15 years old at the time, was an immediate red flag. This wasn't someone who forgot to check in or got caught up in other activities. This was a complete break from character. The Evansville Police Department began investigating immediately after the family reported her missing. But as we've seen in so many cases, those first 48 hours are critical, and they were already slipping away. The investigation quickly revealed some disturbing details. Cameras captured Dawnita Wilkerson leaving a motel and getting into a vehicle, but the mother of 6 never returned home. This surveillance footage becomes a crucial piece of the puzzle, but it also raises more questions than it answers. What was Dawnita doing at a motel? Who was she meeting? And most importantly, who was driving the vehicle she got into? These are questions that investigators have been working to answer for over 4 years now. In the days before she vanished, she had sent messages to her family with the names of 2 men. One of the men was someone she had dated off and on for years, and he had been sending her messages. This detail suggests that Dawnita may have been aware of some kind of threat, or at least felt the need to document these interactions with her family. The fact that she took the time to send her family the names of these men indicates a level of concern or caution on her part. Was she afraid? Was she being threatened? Or was this simply her way of keeping her family informed about her whereabouts? Unfortunately, we may never know her true motivations behind these messages. Investigators never recovered the vehicle, and the man who owns it reportedly refuses to cooperate. No arrests have been made, and Evansville police have never publicly named a suspect. That years-long void leaves Carden and other family members scraping for any clue they can get. They've even raised an $8,000 reward for information on Dawnita's whereabouts. They've expressed frustration with the official police investigation, saying communication can be spotty or even non-existent. We express our sympathy toward Dawnita's family and those affected by her disappearance. For the past 4 years, this has been an active investigation that our detectives work to close every day, EPD wrote in a statement to the Courier and Press. Someone out there knows something. The smallest tip could help solve this case. We want to solve this case. Help us solve this case. After all this time, the pain and uncertainty are taking a toll on the family, Carden said. One of the worst things is the mystery itself. The family believes Dawnita is likely dead, but they have no idea what happened after that SUV crossed into Illinois. The not knowing is hard on anybody. And a lot of people don't want to talk about it because they don't know how to express themselves, how the emotion is supposed to come through, Carden said. They don't know how to move forward. Yes, we go on with our lives. We still have to make a living, we still have to pay the bills. But it doesn't take away that hole in your heart. What elevates this case from a local missing person investigation to something much more serious is the involvement of federal authorities. The FBI has taken an active role in the investigation, which typically indicates that investigators believe the case may involve kidnapping, interstate transportation, or other federal crimes. 8 months after her disappearance, the EPD and FBI shared new information in the case, though the specific details of what was shared have not been made public. This level of federal involvement tells us that law enforcement believes this is more than just a case of someone voluntarily disappearing. The FBI doesn't get involved in every missing person case. Their involvement suggests that there's evidence pointing to foul play, potential kidnapping, or that the case has crossed state lines. For Dawnita's family, this federal involvement probably brought both hope and fear. Hope that more resources would be dedicated to finding her, but fear about what that level of involvement might mean for her safety.
Waking up, you think you're going to get a call, it's not there. You're waiting on something that's not there.
We just feel like something is wrong, Dawnita's aunt Julia Womack told Dateline. Otherwise, she would have gotten in contact with one of us. This statement from her aunt captures the essence of why this case is so disturbing to those who knew Dawnita best. The family's certainty that something terrible has happened isn't based on speculation or fear. It's based on their intimate knowledge of who Dawnita was as a person. They knew her patterns, her habits, her devotion to her children. The idea that she would voluntarily disappear and leave her children, especially her 15-year-old twins, without any contact is simply inconceivable to those who knew her. 4 years later, the search continues, with her family refusing to give up hope while simultaneously living with the reality that each passing day makes finding answers more difficult. As we sit here in 2025, Dawnita's case remains unsolved, and the circumstances of her disappearance remain unclear. Her case is currently classified as missing. But for her family, friends, and the investigators working on this case, she's not just a statistic or a cold case file. She's a mother, a daughter, an aunt, and a woman who deserves answers. The family remains concerned about various aspects of the ongoing investigation, including court proceedings in Vanderburgh County, though specific details about these proceedings have not been made public to protect the integrity of the investigation. What we do know is that the Evansville police say the investigation is still ongoing and active, and they're still following any leads and tips. This means that despite the passage of time, law enforcement hasn't given up on finding answers for Dawnita and her family. One of the most heartbreaking aspects of this case is thinking about Dawnita's 6 children, particularly her 15-year-old twins who were just starting high school when their mother disappeared. These children have had to navigate some of the most formative years of their lives without their mother, not knowing whether she's alive or dead, whether she's safe or in danger. The older children have likely had to step up and help care for their younger siblings, taking on responsibilities that no teenager should have to bear. They've missed having their mother at graduations, birthdays, and countless everyday moments that make up a childhood. For the twins, who were only 15 when she disappeared, they've now spent more years without their mother than they had with her as teenagers. They've had to grow up with questions instead of answers, with hope instead of closure. So what happened to Dawnita Wilkerson on that Father's Day evening in 2020? The truth is we don't know. But we can look at what the evidence suggests. The surveillance footage showing her leaving a motel and getting into a vehicle suggests she was meeting someone. The messages she sent to her family with the names of two men suggest she may have been concerned about her safety. The fact that her phone was turned off by the next morning suggests that either she was prevented from using it, or someone else turned it off. The federal involvement in the case suggests that investigators believe this involves more than just a voluntary disappearance. The continued active investigation suggests that law enforcement has reasons to believe that answers are still possible to find. What we're left with is a case that has all the hallmarks of foul play but none of the concrete evidence needed to provide the closure that Dawnita's family desperately needs and deserves. If you have information about Dawnita, please contact the Evansville Police Department at 8124367979, the tip line at 8124356194, or the FBI Indianapolis office at 317-595-4000. Every case we cover on Dark Patterns Crime Stories serves as a reminder that behind every missing person report is a family living in limbo, children growing up without answers, and communities that have lost someone important to them. Dawnita Wilkerson's case reminds us that sometimes the most ordinary moments, a family gathering on Father's Day, a simple, "I'll be right back," can become the last normal moments we share with someone we love. It has been hard, especially with the kids. "We've lost one of her sons and we've lost her mom in the last couple of years," says Faye Carden. Carden is Wilkerson's aunt and says it feels like a nightmare that never ends. Years of memories with one piece missing. She does not know she has two grandbabies out there. She's missed out on family gatherings, birthdays, and any holiday that we do. "She was our greens person. She always cooked the greens," Carden says. Shortly before she disappeared, she was seen leaving the former home of a relative near Lodge and Taylor Avenues. She was last seen at One Life Studios and Suites on Green River Road. Security cameras showed her getting into an SUV with two men and heading towards Illinois. On June 22nd, police say Wilkerson's phone had either been shut off or the battery died. Police say they found the owner of the SUV, but say they were uncooperative. When the girls did not hear from her, they knew something was wrong, Carden says. To cope with the pain of the unknown, Carden started making mats for those who struggle with homelessness. She dedicated her 100th mat to Wilkerson, hoping it would encourage someone to speak up. Her favorite color is pink, so I found all of these colors of pink shirts to make the mat, Carden says. EPD says it is still an active investigation, and detectives are working around the clock. Anyone with information is encouraged to call the Evansville police. If you're watching this and you have any information about Dawnita Wilkerson's disappearance, no matter how small or insignificant it might seem, please reach out to the authorities. Sometimes the smallest detail can be the key that unlocks an entire case. For Dawnita's family, especially her 6 children, the search for answers continues. They deserve to know what happened to their mother. They deserve closure. They deserve justice. And Dawnita Wilkerson deserves to be remembered not just as a missing person, but as the devoted mother and family member she was. Someone who would never willingly leave her children wondering where she was, someone whose word was her bond, and someone who promised to be right back. We'll continue to follow this case and update you if there are any developments. Until then, Dawnita's story serves as a reminder to hold our loved ones close and to never take those everyday moments for granted. Thank you for watching Dark Patterns Crime Stories. If this case touched you, please like and subscribe to help us continue bringing attention to cases like Dawnita's. Share this video to help spread awareness about her disappearance. And remember, somewhere out there, someone knows something that could bring answers to this family. Until next time, stay safe out there. This episode is dedicated to Dawnita Wilkerson and her 6 children, who continue to wait for answers.